Wow, what an inspiring episode for the comeback. Anton Longo is a motivating young man who took over historic vineyards to produce world-class wines in Alto Adige. During our hours-long visit, I've had the impression that this gentleman has well-defined goals with his wines, with his lineup, and he wants his Baron Longo label to be among the best in the world. In my humble opinion, he deserves our attention, as he is on a good path to leave a mark on his region. We've talked about his favorite variety, we drank his flagship and painfully limited wine. At the end of the tasting, I even started to like Lagrein. Unfortunately, you can hear my mechanical watch ticking in the background, in the beginning especially, which I've tried to cover with some pleasant tones, probably with only minor success. I promise that I won't wear this again for the recording. Please enjoy. Anton, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for this couple of hours. This is really wonderful.
Thanks a lot. It's great that you came to visit me today. And we had, I think, a beautiful lunch at 1,050 meters, so up in the mountains, and where we have our vineyards. There we grow about on 3.5 hectares. We have the Pinot Noir, the Chardonnay, Sauvignon, and also a little bit of Solaris. And during lunch, we had a glass of it.
Yeah, I always enjoy this because it's, as you also said, it's a dangerous wine. So it has.
It is.
So, as we are sitting here in this marvelous house, it's hard not to ask you about your family history because you are kind of a new brand, right? But you have a long history, so.
That's true. But I would suggest before we start, I will get a bottle of wine.
Always.
And this time I will choose the Liebenstein. And because you told me about the story, Liebenstein, that's the name, it's my second surname. So the state name is the Baron Longo. So the Baron, so it's the Baron Freiherr, and Longo is my surname, but you already hear that Longo is not very German, because in Alto Adige or Südtirol we say it's a mainly German-speaking region, and therefore Longo is not so German. And that's because in the past our name was Italianized, like my name would be Antonio, my name is now Anton, and therefore Longo, in past my surname was Lang, and Liebenstein is my second surname, and therefore I would say we open now the bottle of Liebenstein, and I will do that now here, and let's see, that's a white wine of Chardonnay. And Chardonnay is for sure one of our, let's say, popular grapes that I have in my vineyards. And Liebenstein, that's the new vintage 2020. The history, we really have a long history. So we were nominated in 1656 the first time, so the name Lang, and then you have to imagine that during the war, my grandfather, he was the head of the town, so Neumarkt. We are very south in South Tirol, so Bolzano, it's about like 10 minutes south. And here we live, there are 5,000 people who are living here. And during the fascism, our family produced wine. And we mainly had this old training system, the pergola, and there we had the schiava, the fanach, and this we bought here in this house where we are now, and we did the vinification, everything, and then we took them out by horse. We bring them over the Brenner Pass to Klagenfurt, Austria, and there we sold our wine. And that's during the time and the fascism, my grandfather, he had to leave, and the whole family, and therefore our grapes or vineyards, let's say, nobody could take care of them, and at that time we couldn't do anymore the Baron Longo wine. So that happened that during the time he died in Austria, and then my grandfather, he came back and he founded the cooperative of Neumarkt that later on became cooperative of Dramin. And that was one of the reasons why my grandfather and my father, they didn't made or decided to do their own Baron Longo wine anymore. So we have our grapes and we sold our grapes. So basically, and when I came in 2011, I studied in Montpellier. My father called me and told me, listen, son, you have to come back now and take over the company. So the company would be the vineyards and the apple trees and agriculture, basically, to become a farmer. And I said, yes, I will come. And I did it for some years, and I decided for my own, I really would like to do wine. And I had that idea, and in 2014 I started to vinificate my first barrels, and you have to imagine it was a completely disaster in winemaking. So I thought it would be pretty easy. You can pick the grapes, put them in the cellar and make wine, but it isn't like that. And I asked my father, I would like to be a winemaker. And then he looked at me and said, you only have to taste your wine, so you will never become a winemaker. And he said, you can make a terroir liquor for sure. And so honestly, it was quite tough time at that moment. And when I started in 14, of course, you have your dream, you want to be a winemaker, but it's not so easy like it seems. And in 15, I said, okay, I would like to start. And then I maybe tried to think twice before I did wine. I asked some friends of mine who are professional winemakers, and they said, okay, I will give you a hand, I will show you. And then I started in 2015. I had 1 tonneau of Pinot Blanc and 4 barriques of Chardonnay. And so I started to do wine, and then a year passed nearly, and the wine was still in the barrel. I tasted it and it seemed quite good. But then the next problem emerged, and I said, okay, I have the wine in the barrel, in the oak. What should I do now? I have to create a new label. I have to find my bottles. I have to do everything. It starts with the cork, with And then I said, okay, we bottled the wine, and I tasted it. But the problem was I had only these barrels, and I thought, okay, I could blend the wine. So I tried to blend it, and it seemed okay. And therefore the first wine I did was the Liebenstein. So the Liebenstein was and is still a Chardonnay and Pinot Blanc.
This is what we have now in the glass.
And this is what we have here in the glass.
Okay, wow.
Therefore, I would say we try the new vintage 2020.
Thank you very much.
Therefore,
cheers.
5 years of Baron Longo. And this wine was bottled last week. So it's quite young. Everything in oak. And if you look at the bottle, you will see in the back label the organic label. And you have to imagine that 2020, that was the year or the vintage where I finally could put on my organic label. And I'm very proud about that. Therefore, in 3 years, we will be also
Biodynamic, right?
Biodynamic on Demeter. And I think it's very nice to have the chance to make these steps.
Yeah. And was it then the motivation is rather intrinsic, or it's like market demand and you want to establish yourself in this among these kind of biodynamic traits, so to say?
So I grew up in the house that we saw before on this beautiful hill with the yellow house on it. So this is where we have our vineyards, and it's nearly a crew. It's everything. It's closed, and I grew up on that place, and I remember we had, when I was 5-6 years, I had my own pig at home, and we had cows. So we had a lot of animals. And our cultivation was always very connected, let's say, to the nature. And for me, it was important not only to talk about it, but also to be certified, so that you have a certification that you can also bring and show in a bottle. Therefore, for me, the step to be organic is done because I strongly believe in that. I believe in this organic, and especially in these biodynamic steps.
Yeah, it's good to hear, because I think it's also a good fashion. I think, or it's a good trend. It's a good vogue, but it's very really in vogue now to become biodynamic, just to put it on your label.
It's also possible to make organic viticulture, but you have also imagined that not everywhere it's possible to cultivate organic wines, because it has a lot of factors that influence that. It's not only because someone says I want to be organic, it's possible. There's also other winemakers who really work on an organic dimension, but it's not possible because they have a lot of rain, they have very steep slopes and so on. But for me it's possible, and therefore I made the decision to go that direction.
And this Chardonnay is, by the way, pretty fucking good. Sorry for my French, but it's really nice. It's, as you said, you just bottled it 2 weeks ago, or last week basically.
We bottled it, and we had it in the past, so it was always Chardonnay, half of Chardonnay, the other half was Pinot Blanc, and we produced it now. So Chardonnay is now 3/4, and 1/4 is Pinot Blanc. And this wine was 1 month in oak. Therefore, I strongly also believe that the influence of oak, of this vanilla what you often have, should not be so dominant. I had this point a lot, especially in the beginning, to find the right word, so, and also the right dimension of the oak. So I started with small barrels like the Tonneau, and I made steps in that direction to see, okay, maybe it's not the right oak, maybe it's not the right dimension to make some changes. Therefore, every year I try to understand, to focus, and also to get better.
Yeah, because we also been to your cellar. You work with a lot of oak types, right?
Yes.
But mostly French oak, as I said.
And that has such a big impact, and especially I strongly believe that the wines are made in the vineyard, but of course what you do in the cellar will make the results completely in a direction that you can find, or where you want to focus on. So it's important to be very focused on what you do.
Because in the nose, I almost haven't found any vanilla or typical barrique notes. It's very kind of decent, very harmoniously integrated into the smell. It's kind of this more like this sparse, minerally, kind of white, stony, inorganic thing. What's really reductiveness, basically.
Exactly. So this is, like you said, is this reductiveness. So this a direction that I personally like a lot. Like I know from German wines also, and I think this kind of wines they might evolve very good in the storage. So if you open them maybe in 2, 3, 5 years, they might open them, but at the moment they are very closed. So it's no food, nothing. It's very stony, like you have there.
Yeah.
And also, we talked before the idea we are here in this town, so it's Neumarkt, in Halle, it's Enya, we are about 70 meters until 1,050 meters. And we were talking before about which vineyards or what's my idea of winemaking, and I said I want to focus on white wines. We do have in total nearly 20 hectares, so that's quite a good size, or quite 20 hectares you really can make some wines to make some difference also. And we have our terroir, we have a lot of calcareous stones, so if you dig in our vineyards after 20 centimeters you already have stones, 20-30 centimeter big stones, therefore it's very a big impact.
Yes, and because you already mentioned you have 20 hectares already, you inherited all of them, or?
So that's the next story. When I 2015 started, my father told me, okay, I don't really want that you start, but if that's your dream, I can give you 3 of my hectares, so you can go to the bank and ask them for a loan. So he gave me them, and I went to the bank, and they gave me some money, so I could buy barrels and the press, and it's incredible what you have to buy, but somehow I managed. And with the time, he saw that the wine is not getting the aceto balsamico, but it seems to be wine, and so he rented to me the whole of his vineyards. That would be then the 20 hectares.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
cool. And then he basically just kind of saw the potential in these 3 hectares, and that your motivation, and then he kind of
He saw the motivation.
trusted you then
He
with
trusted
the
me.
later development.
And now I have a big pressure to
prove him.
to prove him exactly.
Not
so
wrong.
of course that's the big step. I have to show, okay, it was not the wrong decision.
Is he drinking wine as well, or your wines?
He do.
Yeah?
Yes, therefore it's a good sign.
Okay. That's good.
Yes, I think it's very important for a winemaker that he has his, let's say, identification, that if you drink a bottle of Baron Longo, you should think, oh, I already drank that wine, that's the Baron Longo wine. So the signature
yeah.
should be in the wines. I believe that, yes.
But on the palate, it's also, you have this kind of weight feeling, but still really refreshing. So it's, in this sense, it's a very Südtirol wine for me. So it has the really beautiful ripeness, but it's also that kind of tangy, really refreshing kind of texture, but still this beautiful ripeness. But it never goes out of the elegant style. So it will never be plump or too fat or something like this. But it's very kind of, if I think about these mountains, but what surrounds us, it's really the definition of this stony but sunny kind of amalgam, and it's wow, it's good. Thank you.
I think Alto Adige, we have the mountains, and we really can use the altitude. So it's possible to go up from 270 meters to make wine there 500, 600, 1,050, and there are also winemakers who grow their Pinot Noir 1,200 meters. And like my neighbor, is Franz Haas, for example, and that are decisions to go up wine at that altitude that can go also. You can have a big success, but it also might be very difficult.
Because we've been to 1,050 meters, right?
Yes.
With this restaurant. And
like I showed you, we have the Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this winter, or last winter, we lost half of the hectare only because of the frost and the cold winter.
But is this basically the upper limit where you can go to now?
At the moment, yes. Yeah. At the moment, yes. It is the upper limit. And like it was always, the nature will regulate what will go there.
But do you think that in 10 years you're gonna be 1,200 maybe? Or you should?
I think it always depends of the style of wine that you really want to see, so what you want to have. I see there's a big trend, for example, in the neighbor region, the Trentino, that they're going to sparkling wines, for example.
Okay.
And so there's always a big change in winemaking process. And what I strongly believe is that I believe in white wines for our region. And I also believe that having that altitude, it will help us to focus on special grape varieties, having that style that we already know, but with the altitude. Yes.
And because we already tasted the Solaris at this restaurant, so what is your perspective about PIWI varieties? And do you see
I read that morning an article that said that there's a big future for the PIWI. We have PIWI, so the Solaris, that we go on this 1,050 meters in the natural park. I personally think that these are wines that taste or can taste good, but I'm not sure how it will be if you would taste a Solaris and a Chardonnay. I strongly believe that a Chardonnay will have more character than a PIWI at the moment. Yes. So the potential will be much higher for a Chardonnay than for a...
So you can basically make a more complex, more impelling, elegant character for wine.
I believe in that, yes.
Yeah. Because you also have two lines basically in your portfolio, right?
Yes. So we have the line
Baseline.
the base. So the line, the entrance wines that are wines like you had the Sauvignon Blanc. That is a wine that makes steel, so stainless steel. It's a fresh wine. And then we do have wines like the Liebenstein that will stay 1 year in the oak, and then 1 year in the steel, and then after 1 year in a bottle we start to sell it. So these are two different types of philosophy that I have. So the fresh wines, maybe the Grand Cru or the Premier Cru wines.
And the kind of Grand Cru wines, you're gonna focus on which varieties?
For sure, the Chardonnay. We do have the Pinot Blanc with the Chardonnay at the moment, and for the red, the Cabernet. But on the long one, we have the Chardonnay.
Because we already talked quite a lot about this in your car, about these autochthonous grape varieties or indigenous grape varieties. For Südtirol, you have quite a few, which are also well-established brands basically for the region, right? So if you think about Lagrein, Gewürztraminer.
Yes.
But you try to go basically for a quite international variety. And can you repeat maybe your argument, because I think it's...
I think we discussed it, and everyone has his own philosophy. I know that, for example, the Bolzano region, the Circus Meyer, Unterganzner, or other winemakers, they focus on the grapes like the Lagrein, and I personally focus on Chardonnay. We do Lagrein, but we only do about 2,000 bottles, so the quantity is very, very low. And I believe in wines that have the biggest potential, and for me, that's the white wine. Therefore, of course, I could say let's grow Gewürztraminer. We have a very big market for Gewürztraminer in the Italian market. But I think you should also grow wines that you really love. And I love the Chardonnay.
So now the next logical question: what do you drink in your in this beautiful palace if you are maybe
So if
in the mood for wine.
In a mood of wine, we do. So if I'm with my friends here, I don't drink my own wines. That's the first rule in that house.
Rule?
Yes, that's a rule. So we don't drink the Baron Longo wines because I think that you not should only drink your wines. You have to drink other wines to understand other winemakers and to understand the characteristics and the philosophy of winemaking.
Yeah.
And I think like that you can understand what's different to your wine and what makes you so unique.
Yeah.
And especially that if I have made the decision to make Chardonnay, that's for sure the hardest way. Because if I would say, okay, let's do Lagrein, I have Lagrein here in Alto Adige, but in the rest of the world you hardly will find Lagrein. Chardonnay you find everywhere.
Yeah.
And therefore, why should I do a Chardonnay when it could be much easier? I do the Chardonnay because I strongly believe, that I have a very, very big potential of the Chardonnay.
So what do you drink then? Like what kind of stylistic Chardonnay motivates your palate? Because I have a guess, but I want to hear it from you.
I really like Chardonnays that are even more reductive than mine. I think that Chardonnay should be in the oak. And the idea of drinking white wines in young years, I can understand it, but I cannot share it. Therefore, I think to really understand the potential of a wine, especially of Chardonnay, you have to wait for 4 years or so, and therefore you should have wines. I don't know if you have recently drunk from Bernard Huber. It's very statistics. I really, really like, and I want to go in that direction. Yes.
Okay, cool. And because other than Chardonnay, you also make like Sauvignon Blanc and also make also work with other varieties.
Yes. So Chardonnay, we have. In 2013, we had a big hailstorm, and we had a lot of vineyards under the pergola system. And then we had really damage about 100%. And then I told to my father that I don't believe in the pergola system, training system. Then he told me, okay, you will go on, you can plant new grapes. And so I decided, okay, I have a lot of Chardonnay, but that was the moment where I didn't do wine. So we sold our grapes, and that's so vineyard we had before the Gold Muscateller. And for me it was a wine that I didn't like, honestly. The Gold Muscateller was not what I wanted, and therefore I said, okay, let's find a way to plant the Sauvignon. And therefore we have half a hectare, 5,000 meters, we have that Sauvignon, where we now do about, it's 3,000 bottles. Now we also have the Sauvignon from 1,050 meters. That brings us a very big and nice acidity. And it's a very typical Sauvignon that's if you open the bottle, you immediately understand, okay, that's Sauvignon. But we also have the Cabernet Sauvignon, we have Cabernet Franc, we have Petit Verdot. And that's historically, because when we sold our grapes, it was like that every year the prices depended a little bit of the market. So if you had, for example, a Gewürztraminer 1 year, you got more money than for Lagrein. Another year you got more money for Lagrein than for Gewürztraminer. Therefore we do have a lot of labels, because we have a lot of vineyards and also grapes. and I want to reduce that. And I only want really to focus first on the grape variety, but then also on the terroir, because it's not possible, for example, to plant Cabernet Sauvignon on cold places. Therefore, maybe a Chardonnay would grow better. And these are all steps, and especially in winemaking, you need so much time, because I will plant now, and after 3 years the first grapes will grow, and after 10 years you will have maybe a harvest where you have a very, very good quality. It's already possible after 3 years for sure, but after 10 years you might understand a little bit better, and then you have your harvest, but then you don't have your wine. Then you will have your wine, and then maybe 3-4 years will go on, and after 15 years you will see if you had made a mistake or it was the right decision. Therefore, time in winemaking, it's a project for, let's see, or say it's for generations.
So that's a time machine is maybe needed for this beautiful industry. That would be a big help for you probably. But what is your biggest bet other than Chardonnay and maybe all the Pinot Noir that you planted, right?
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay, and that's your biggest bet, basically.
That's all I strongly believe in.
Okay.
Of course, maybe also other grape varieties that can help the Chardonnay, like in a blend, but the focus should be Chardonnay.
Because I also know some of your colleagues in Eichstätt, for example, or a little bit up north, where the climate is also probably a little bit colder, right? So they work also with kind of Germanic varieties like or Silvaner or also Riesling. Or also Grüne Veltliner, basically. There are some of them.
Also very, very successful.
Yes,
wineries,
exactly.
Small wineries. They do wines that are
single.
It's really, really depends where you're located.
Yeah. Okay. And what are your, because I know that the 2/3 of your wines are exported, right?
Yes, a lot of wines are exported.
And so where can we find them other than?
So maybe if I would not have Chardonnay, for your question to go back, I would love to have Riesling. But I think Riesling you should cultivate in Germany.
Okay.
If I would be in Germany, I would have Riesling. Yes. That might be the other. For your question about where we export, I think the step to going in the biodynamic direction open us a lot of new markets, especially the Scandinavian markets, like the Belgium, Netherlands, and so on. And I think that the future, especially for the countries, will be organic wines, and therefore the request of that wines are very requested, because you can't, no, I would say not hardly, but it's not so easy to find organic wines from South Tirol in a certain quantity.
And why?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't really know. I think because most of the wines are sold locally here in the region, and therefore there is no
demand for that.
No demand of that, and also no demand to switch on organic certification. So they were organic, but they said, okay, we don't need to make the certification, but especially if you export, they want to see the green label on the bottle. And if you don't have the certification, you will not get it. Also, if you work organic.
Yeah, also me as a sommelier, to be honest, it's also a good selling point. I mean, in the next village in Zöblen, where another great hotel actually is operating, it's an organic hotel basically. So they always sell and kind of offer organic products in the entire hotel. So if you don't have this green label, but you tell beautiful stories about how you respect the nature, it's basically a no-go.
Yes.
And but also just to go back to this kind of regional question, because I also like if I only think about Foradori or Lageda, they are also certified. Even Lageda is biodynamic, as you will be, right?
Exactly.
And they are internationally kind of established wineries because
exactly, yes. And Foradori also is a biodynamic on the respect program.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's basically if I think about this estate, is for me it's always kind of the key to open for the international's top level.
Yes.
Right. It's
I also think that maybe because I'm from the younger generation, I personally see the needs of export. So I think that we should export, but maybe other wineries, they don't have this need to export. They say, okay, we sell our wines very good here in Italy or in Alto Adige. Why we should export? Okay, if you have a request, we do it, but we don't really go to fairs for like the bovine to make the export business run. Therefore, you also have to try and move to find partners for export if you really want it.
Can we taste maybe another wine?
For sure. So I took now another bottle. You have the Liebenstein, and you see a Langenstein. It's also a very long word, and you see Stein, that would be the stone, and Liebenstein, Langenstein. And Langenstein is my, let me think, third surname. Therefore, I only have three. Therefore, there would be Liebenstein, Wellenburg, and Langenstein. And Langenstein, it's a pure Chardonnay from vintage 2021 that we also bottled last week.
You should have a pretty hard time in the school when you had to.
Yes, it was hard. I had to. So I open now the bottle. Now, that's the big moment. We took that wine out from the store. It's not really cold, but it's maybe it could work. And now we finally have the Chardonnay here in the bottle. And 100% Chardonnay 2021. And we only made 600 bottles of that wine. So it's very, very limited. Let's say. And I want now to understand what's possible in the Chardonnay production with my wine. But
so that's basically your love child, right?
Yes, it is.
Like
the Liebenstein.
Yeah.
These two wines are my one and only.
And this is the wine that you sell exclusively,
yes,
right?
We sell exclusively. And
this
this is a wine that you cannot buy from me because I maybe have 6 or 8 bottles of that wine. And today we opened one of them, so maybe 7 bottles more left.
Nice.
And yes, it's a project of Chardonnay.
And how did you treat it in the cellar? Because we haven't really...
Yes, so the cellar is an idea. We do all the fermentations, the spontaneous fermentation, and we give the wine the time that it needs. Especially at the Gewürztraminer last year, we had a very, very long fermentation process. So I had to fill that wine in August this year, and in the beginning of August it still started to ferment. So I was still fermenting, and I was getting a little bit nervous because I had to bottle that wine. And then it stopped. So I managed to do it, but you also have sometimes to close the cellar door and go out and go to sleep, and maybe the next day things are getting better. But you always have to work very precise and very you have to know what happens in the cellar.
Because you basically do everything alone, right?
I do, yes.
Yeah, because we already met some of your workers, but they are very diligently basically made the wax for your bottles, but you are basically as a head of the winery alone, right?
I'm alone. Yeah. Of course, I have my workers because 20 hectares you can't do it alone, but most of the work I'm doing on my own. Yes.
But where did you learn this kind of winemaking?
So
magical skills, so to say, if you
because of my experience in 2014 and maybe then 15, I tried to understand what are doing the others, what they do better than I am, and I started to understand that they have people who help them. So let's say consultants.
Yeah.
And with that consultants, I really can go on, archive what I really want to do in the cellar. So they help me to move forward.
Okay. But are they other winemakers or master of wines? Or?
Yes, exactly. Winemakers.
It's very, very concentrated. It's really, really long, and it has like the middle of the palate, so to say. It has this beautiful weight, but still like it's coating the mouth not only with weight or not only with light phenolics, I would say, but it's really, really precise acidity. It's for a Chardonnay, to be honest, surprising. So it's really long acidity, and it's really on the side, and it carries also the aromatic, so it really, really well integrated in the body. And it also has this kind of crystalline, so crispiness, this kind of clarity to the taste. And also on the nose, it was also quite closed, I would say, or like kind of this reductive kind of elements. I picked it up. Maybe it would also be good for the wine to decant or give some oxygen to it. But the taste is very beautiful because it's also broad, so I wouldn't say that it's linear. It has this kind of broadness, but still very refreshing, and kind of has this this athletic body in the same sense. So it's
basically
wine to talk about. Yeah.
You like the wine?
Yes. In a long sentence. Yes.
I believe that a winery in that size, they should focus on maybe some wines. I think you cannot do everything. And if you have your focus, you might achieve your goals, what you want to do, easier. I think it's good if you do a lot of things, but for the communication to everything, it's better to focus on some things and try to do them very, very good.
Nice. And what are the characteristics of these vineyards? Because it's not a single vineyard.
This is not a single vineyard. This is basically the best barrel I had, and I have chosen that barrel. So into the winemaking process, the wine, so let's see, goes in the barrel and it stays in the barrel for 1 year. So there's happening nothing. There's no pardonnage, nothing. And after that one year, I taste everything barrel, and the barrel I like most, we bottled it. Therefore 600 bottles.
And how did you choose this beautiful, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's a painting. It's a painting because when I started in 2015, I had to start with everything. So winemaking, but also with the design. And then I thought, let's show that we are also a winery with a history. And therefore I have chosen these paintings, what you see on the bottle. And these paintings are here in the house where we have the the cellar. And these are paintings from the 16th century that we will go up and I will show you, painted on the walls.
But how do you look around and wow, that's a Liebenstein picture, or how do you choose these kind of?
Yes, so when I started in winemaking, I had that idea with the paintings. But then the next step was, let's choose the right picture for the right wine.
Yeah.
And I tasted the wine. I took the wine with me at night, and I was sitting in front of the pictures. I looked at the pictures and said, okay, that's the Liebenstein. And once you made that decision, the decision was made.
Cool. That's a cool story.
Yes, and then you start doing it, and then it's I think it's very authentic.
But and where do you want to take the success of this beautiful project what you just started in 2015?
I think on the long run, I want to have this Premier Cru and Grand Cru project where you can have the entrance wines, and then also like the Liebenstein wines that or show the whole potential of the winery. That could be wines that you can storage about 5-6 years and then open them. I think that could be the idea where I want to go. So really high quality and white wines that you can store a long time. So
This is nice. It's really, really nice.
And you see also we have chosen big glasses.
Yeah.
Because like you said before, you need to decant the wine. And now after the 10 minutes or how long we talk now, it evolves. It's still starting to come, to evolve, to get more and more. And I think that's it's a little bit the signature of the winery.
It moves you basically, so it's not not a lot of wine can do that, to be honest. So it's good.
Thank you very much. And I think when we first met, it was in a rainy day in Austria. We tasted the Sauvignon.
Yes.
And I will open the Sauvignon if you want as the next wine.
Yeah, sure.
This Sauvignon is our entrance wine. So this wine for sure made stainless steel this year. And next year I want to bring it on a step on. I want to make a little bit in oak, and then every year to improve. And that's, I started now, it's now 7 years that I'm a new wine, and every year I want to improve, to understand, to get better.
Urgestein.
Urgestein.
So now we are at the Sauvignon, right?
So we have the Sauvignon now, and you tasted with me the 2020 and the 2021. You already see that we don't have the screw cap anymore. The idea behind that we leave away the screw cap was to have only here this kind of paper closure, because the screw cap is of aluminium and it's hardly to recycle. Therefore, paper is much easier for recycling. So also this kind of ideas, I think, will have always more an impact. People often tell me, okay, you are only doing greenwashing. Okay, it might be, but I think if every producer make that little steps to have, like we did, a bottle that's much lighter. So our bottle, I think it's about 290 grams. Normally in the past we had bottles with 700 grams. So you can reduce a lot of
emissions.
Yes, and also glass that you really don't need, because the quality of the wine
won't change.
Don't change a lot. And now we opened the 2021. So that's the newest the vintage, because you asked me before what's about with the difference about the 20 and
it's called Urgestein, right? So
yes,
it's primary
exactly.
rock. So can you tell a little bit about this soils? Because in Südtirol you have like 150 kind of soil or bedrock types, right?
Exactly. We have a lot of different rocks, and the Urgestein we have chosen because this 5,000 meters where the Sauvignon grows, this is completely stone. So there's only stone. There's some, okay, of course it grows there, but if you dig about 20 centimeters, there's only stone. So really stone. And therefore we said, okay, we have to give that kind of wine, this wine we have to give our name. Therefore we said, okay, I can't use my surname anymore because I all gave them away. let's use the Urgestein.
And how did you choose this picture? Because it's kind of a lady laying.
You see here the lady, and you have some green.
Okay.
And therefore I thought Sauvignon, it's of the green. And therefore it's
because we always, I already told you that we have this wine in the restaurant, and it was a big success at first already.
yes.
And I think there are some great Sauvignon Blancs also in Südtirol, but I think it stands out in this price category for sure. But also it has this kind of Baron Longo, bit active, kind of spicy, precise characteristics with rather, I don't know, this kind of elegant, stylistic. I haven't really formulated that yet, but this kind of signature or this kind of stamp on it.
So Sauvignon, I strongly believe that we have a big future of Sauvignon in Alto Adige. Also here, a lot of acidity.
A really long acidity.
A very long acidity. Extremely long. And 2021, of course, the new vintage, it needs time to evolve, to be more integrated.
Yeah, but it's kind of, it starts as an organic acidity. I have these kind of terms in my mind. I'm not sure everyone gets it, but it has this kind of organic acidity with this kind of primary fruity flavors in the beginning, and then it comes this really like inorganic, stony, almost salty kind of finish, right? But it's very really linear, but it also has 35 alcohol, right? As the last ones. So it has this, in the nose, it's almost like it's kind of this greens, this pomelo aromatic.
Yeah.
And so it's not this really herb, like it has some greeniness in it, but it's riper than that, I think, in the
Exactly.
kind of the profile.
Therefore, Sauvignon, this wine is for me a wine that you can pair easily for risotto or asparagus.
It's also a breakfast wine for me. So like it really wakes you up. It charges you with.
Exactly. So it's a liquid breakfast.
Yes, it is.
If you don't have time to brush your teeth, you might drink a glass of.
Liquid cocaine. Yeah. But it's really nice. But it's also, you can use it as an aperitif, but also, as you said, it's a beautiful.
Yes, it's a wine that you
friend at the table.
That you can use like I said, aperitif or for Antoine's dish. So very fresh, very nice. And if I have people here, I have always the impression that the Sauvignon is always a wine where people directly tell you, I like it or I don't like it. There is hardly someone who says, I'm not sure. So people always say yes or no.
Yeah.
And that's the impression that I had with Sauvignon.
If you wouldn't have this rich heritage here, basically, in Südtirol, where would you start? Maybe a winery, or which grape variety would you work with?
I think it might be also very interesting, the red wines. Red wines, that I've a long time stayed in the open barrels like we do, like we also do Lagrein, the Cabernet Sauvignon. We leave them about 50, 60 days nearly in the open barrels, that they get a lot of extract. So I think also the red wine production is a project that is getting very interesting for me. I personally focus now in the white wines, and I always find also more and more connection to acidity. That at the beginning I didn't like the acidity. I said no, I don't want acidity. Now I only want acidity. So that changed. Therefore, I might be open for wines with a lot of acidity. Yes.
But I think almost every wine drinkers or every novice wine drinkers start with this kind of rather charming wines with not a lot of acidity and maybe a little bit of residual sugar or maybe a little bit of like kind of sweetness of the palate.
Exactly.
And that's mouthful, ripe.
This is, I think, also the point that we talked before about the PIWI.
Yeah.
So I think the PIWI might be a wine that new wine drinkers are maybe more open for that kind of wines. And if you drink for longer time wines and you get more expertise, you might switch to more wines with acidity.
Yeah, because you get to have this kind of entry to this world, and then you can maybe go after the Sauvignon, maybe not this vintage at first. Maybe I would go for the 20 first, and then maybe the 21 if you have something creamy maybe in your plate, or because it has maybe the need for some fat or this kind of texture also on the plate, because it's not a really typical terrace wine, so to say, as some nations like to refer to. But and then you can maybe go to the Chardonnay and then kind of meditate about the wine, but you kind of have this. It's like a good wine list, I would say, in a restaurant, where you have to have this kind of entry kind of wine where you can maybe sell wine to beer drinkers as well. And then
it's always, I think, the easy drinking wines. And one of my idea was in winemaking, or is in winemaking, to do wines where you also would like to have a second glass of wine. I also strongly believe that that's very important, that you have this like if you have food, it would be nice if you finish the plate. I would not say that it would be nice that you finish the whole bottle on your own. But it would be nice if you drink a second glass of wine. And I think that's good. To have this kind of style.
As I say, I would already have a second glass. It's like really, it's also dangerous as this Solaris, because the Solaris, we're not gonna taste it again probably, but it had very high acidity, right?
Absolutely, yes.
But it had also 8 grams of residual sugar.
But
so it's basically the recipe of one bottle. Alone.
And there you have to pay a lot of attention. Especially acidity, and so to choose the right point of harvest.
If people don't really have the chance to come here, but maybe get their hands on a recipe from Südtirol, what are maybe your favorite dishes with your wine? So what would you maybe recommend from the region that you really like? Because we also went to this restaurant. It's kind of similar to Austria kitchen, but still with the Italian, spice, so to say.
They are, like you said, they are the influence of the spice and the Italian influence, then the Mediterranean influence, fish, and personally, because I said that by fish we have, it's called the Gröstel. It's a Gröstel. We have the stockfish Gröstel. So the Gröstel is a squash of tomatoes. So you boil the tomatoes There you cut them pieces, you put them on a pan with some butter, and then you warm them up, and then you put in some stockfish. I think very famous here is the Schüttelbrot. What we have here, you see, this is the bread of the farmer that they had in the past, because often they were living up in the mountains, and in winter time when it was snowing, they had the Schüttelbrot, and that they used it to make some soup, so they could every time when they wanted to eat something, they had no fridge, but they had the Schüttelbrot. And for the Schüttelbrot, there would be very good the dumplings or the knödel, we say, with the cheese or with the spinach, and that are dishes that I personally like a lot.
So now the red one and the Lagrein.
Exactly, the Lagrein, and that's the red wine where we do about 2,000 bottles a year. Lagrein is one of the autochthonous grape varieties, and it's not a very, for me personally, that's my opinion, it's not a very elegant wine. But I will open this Lagrein. I believe that my Lagrein, I always say we have the Lagrein from Bolzano, so from the capital of the region of Alto Adige, and we have the Lagrein of Aura and Aur, so the southern Lagrein. And my Lagrein, that grows in Aura, so it's still Neumarkt, but it's on the border to Aur. And I think these Lagreins, they are more fruity, so more fruity Lagreins and maybe more elegant. And therefore this Lagrein, it's called the Friedberg. And Friedberg, that's the name of the Frida, also Frida von Friedberg. Okay. She was the wife of one of my parents in the past. And she brought the money in the family. Okay. Therefore I said, okay, to thank someone I have to give this wine a name. Therefore Frida, thanks a lot. And she was a very rich woman who preserved or made it possible that all these grapes, vineyards are ours. Therefore, let's start with this 2020. That's the new vintage, I would say now, because we bottled, like you saw today, the 2021 Friedberg. That's 100% Lagrein from a single vineyard, and also the fermentation is done in an open barrel, a tonneau, for about 50 days, and then we put it in the oak, like a tonneau and a barrique. Of course, the spontaneous fermentation, and then we leave it there. Then it's getting bottled, and now we have it in a glass. People often tell me that this Lagrein don't really remind them like a Lagrein.
For me, it does.
Good. I think
like in the nose, it has a lot of Lagrein notes.
Of course. And then I try to explain them. Yes, but this is not the typical Lagrein that you might know from Bolzano. This is another terroir, and it's different.
Yeah, but it has this kind of, I mean, because with Lagrein, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of Lagrein.
Yes, neither.
Okay. But because it had sometimes this kind of dirtiness, which I actually like dirtiness. Like I like this kind of, also a little bit of bread. I'm not against it. Or it has this kind of, not this pleasant, like peasant-like dirtiness, which is kind of honest and this kind of animally, but this is sometimes it's like this unprecise. I don't know. It's like this,
it's for me. It's the, like this told me, it's the farmer's wine, and it's not the elegant wine.
Yes, exactly.
It's a wine that you don't drink like aperitif, but it will be a wine that you drink for food, like
yeah, but it's for me a sausage wine.
exactly,
Me,
especially sausage, like deer, or something out from the forest.
And most Lagreins are fatter than this one, right? It has more alcohol, more wood, and this is almost like a sinuous kind of Saint-Laurent like. Do you know
Exactly.
Saint-Laurent?
Yes, exactly. It's a little Saint-Laurent. It's very light. It's very
it's almost like this feminine.
like, feminine, elegant,
and like this sexy Lagrein. Basically, it's like
it's not this opulent, this explosive, this
No,
it's more the Lagrein that's
It's more charming and it's kind of this come dance with me kind of, it's not like, I'll sit down after dinner and okay, let's get passed out on the couch, but it's like still very vibrant kind of. It's nice, but you can also you can feel the oak like in the tannins, because when we last tasted the Lagrein, I think there was another vintage, right?
Yes, it might be. Yes,
but that had a bit more wood for me. This is more integrated wood.
Yes,
and more you can feel it on the palate, like it has some kind of wood, also the tannins and the taste, like kind of the spiciness, but it has more pregnant food than this kind of delicate, like just ripe, cool, very nice picking time. It almost has this kind of Pinot Noir vibe to it somehow.
Yes, it's true. Like you said, it's a Pinot Noir vibe that you expect. Yeah.
It's cool. New chapter for me in terms of Lagrein. Maybe I get to like it. And it's basically all the cherries in the glass, right?
Yeah, so I think it's very cherry, very cherry.
But it's really complex, so it's not dominated by the alcohol and the oak. It's very nice. Anton.
Nothing.
Thank you very much. It was a beautiful line. Would you like to add something, maybe?
I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time and your interests, because there are so many wineries and you have chosen mine. So thanks a lot. And I'm happy that you came here to see and that I could explain a little bit of my idea, what I'm doing. And thank you also for everyone who is listening. And maybe one day we can meet again and then discuss about we told today, and let's see if in 10 years I think the same.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in 10 years we're gonna talk about a great portfolio, I think, and a great success, because I believe that these wines have, and these thoughts, because we spent already like 4 hours together, so I think your thoughts are very well established and your philosophy is also well reflected in the wine, so there's only one way, and that is success, right? So
thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes.